Hello, PhilGood. I hope you all are doing great. Today is not as sunny and beautiful out here as it was last week, but nonetheless, we had a wonderful feedback from all of you. We got questions regarding oxidative stress, and we probably had the most views on the last video from last week. So I would like to thank all of you who watched it or who came and participated in it live. This is something that we do at 11:11 Central Time every Saturday, and the topic is just basically how to stay healthy and what it is that you can do to facilitate health in your life, and anything that relates to that. So, one of the questions we get from Andrea is, was, what is it that we do to reduce oxidative stress? And one of the things, well, we do many things, but one of the things that we do is hey there, hi Megan, I'm so happy to see you. Thank you for coming on. David, I added you, but it's not working. So one of the things that oh, there you are. One of the things that we do, hello, it says joining, and I see that your picture came up, but I don't know if you can hear me. We cannot hear you or see you, right? I cannot hear you or see you. I don't know if the viewers can or not, but hopefully they will be able to pretty soon. So one of the things that we do is we exercise regularly. Eating healthy is a huge part of reducing oxidative stress. Heart-brain coherence is a very effective way of reducing oxidative stress. And of course, the cellular supplement that we take is basically a very powerful tool in reducing oxidative stress. Let's see what happens if I do this again. Okay, so on my side, it's showing that you're joining, but in reality, I don't see you or hear you.
Hear me?
I can hear you now, but there is still no picture.
Yeah, you're frozen on this side.
Oh, I wonder. Let me check. I mean, I'm on Wi-Fi, so and my reception is really good. So I'm not really sure why that is, but I can hear you. And hey, Megan, can you see David? Anybody who's watching, can you guys type in if you can see David?
Testing,
No response.
testing. There's reasons for testing. Maybe,
Okay, I got thumbs up. I don't know if that means that they can see you or not, but I can hear you perfectly fine.
no, you can't see me.
Oh, hey, Megan, you can hear David,
But you can't see me.
but can you hear him? I can remove you and we can try this again.
Yeah, we can do that for.
Okay, here you go. I'm gonna send you another request. Yeah, yeah, she can hear you. Well,
I'm
we're just gonna
gonna leave the live and do it over again.
change to viewer. What's that mean? Remove guest. Okay, and now I'm gonna send you another one. There you go. You get that? Okay, I'm gonna dive in while this is going on. Okay, David, I sent you a request, but I don't think you were there. So there's a possibility that it would have been better if we left you there. So because at this point I can't send you another one. So okay. So anyways, what we're gonna talk about today is why healing gets more difficult when you are in an environment that doesn't understand what it is that you're doing. It's very, very common to see resistance in people towards change, whether it is a change that you started on your own, or it's a change that they, you started on your own, meaning you are doing for yourself only, whether it is a change that involves them. And when it comes to eating, obviously, which is what we changed up, I changed it up, I don't know, probably close to 15 years ago now. But I think the major shift for David started about 6 years ago. And so that's going to be a central topic with this. There is a huge component of your healing, which has to do with how much support you are able to obtain from your environment. And there is a difference between support and tolerating. I know that, but while you were gone, I sent you a request, and now I cannot take that request back, so I cannot invite you back again. Sorry, David. So there is a huge difference between being tolerated and being supported, and we can talk about that later. But let's talk about why this is an important topic and how our personal healing started out. For me personally, it was that I dealt with several different kinds of health issues, and I was getting nowhere. I was getting nowhere with the medical system. So, okay, well, I still can't send you an invite. I already sent one, sorry. I got nowhere with the medical system, and so therefore I needed to find alternative ways of healing. And so one of the things that happened was I stumbled upon a book called The Gut and Psychology Syndrome, probably about 15 years ago. And it changed completely how I looked at food and what I thought was healthy. And I also realized that the majority of people out there who claim that they eat healthy, they really are not getting close to getting the results that they're searching for. And that is because there is no scientific basis to their beliefs. What they believe about healthy eating is influenced by media and just mainstream wellness, which is very, very far from the truth, you guys. So David, if you want to leave maybe and come back now, that may resolve this issue, by the way. I don't know if you're still there or not, but it's showing to me that I sent a request. Okay, now I can send another one. It says that I'm adding you. So there is a huge difference between scientific, evidence-based methods and just what the mainstream media tells you and mainstream wellness tells you. There's a huge difference. And so, hi, David. David, are you there? Okay, it actually added somebody else to this. So David, if you want to send me a request, I may be able to add you, but I'm still there where it's showing me that I sent you a request and you did not respond to it. Also, another option that I offered was that you step out for a moment and come back. Okay, so my personal transformation started with changing my diet and doing a detox that is very much not like what the mainstream media tells you. So I was eating bone broth I was drinking bone broth for 3 days, and then I introduced meat first, and then I had some cooked vegetables, and then I turned into the probiotic food. It's not very common that people tell you that you can detox by drinking bone broth. And in the reality, there are so many people who are suffering from sugar addiction that's actually fueled by gut imbalance. They're not able to get rid of sugar for that reason. And then there are so many people who are choosing diets that are, like not healthy. I don't want to get into the details of that, why diet is healthy or not healthy. But if you have any questions about that, you can reach out to me anytime and we can have a conversation about that. So I had hormonal issues, and then I had migraines for many years. And then also I saw that healing wasn't exponential. So I was going up and down. It's not a linear line. It's not just going up and up and up. It is clearly a pattern of going back and forward, back and forth for a long time before you can see real results and before you can really feel healthier than how you were before. So the hormonal issues were gone, and then migraines I really only had when I wasn't eating all that healthy. When I actually smoked and I drank alcohol, and then the migraines got really, really worse after we did the move, which we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But the point is that you have to pay attention to your environment, and doesn't include only the people who surround you. It also includes the foods that you eat, the stress level that you're exposed to. All of those play a huge role in how much oxidative stress is there in your body, or how healthy you feel overall every day. And so before I met this dietary protocol, it's not really a diet, but before I met the GAPS protocol, I was clearly not in a good shape. I had no energy. I slept 13, 14 hours a day, and I still felt completely drained all the time. My digestion was in a horrible place. I just felt fatigued and really not myself in so many ways. So I was really grateful that I found that protocol, and I'm really grateful that I had the ability to do it, because my environment was very supportive on that at that point. And of course, like I said, when it comes to your environment, there is the level when they tolerate you, which is okay, yeah, you go ahead and do whatever you want to do. And there is the support that people can give you, which would be, for example, they're not putting food in front of you that they know exactly that you're not supposed to be eating. Or I've heard of spouses who were doing dietary protocols with their loved ones because they wanted them to heal, and so they actually just did the same thing just to make the other person stronger, so that that person didn't have to do it alone. So I've heard stories like that too. And David's situation was a little bit different. When he and I met, he had high blood pressure and hormonal issues, mainly thyroid dysfunction and then testosterone. And so we had a really interesting meeting one day when we were in my apartment, and we found out that he didn't have his blood pressure medication with him. And I just saw him jumping up, and he was like, his head was red, and he seemed like really excited, and he was telling me that he had a headache. And I didn't really know what was going on at first, but I just randomly asked him if he had high blood pressure, and then his response was yes, and I forgot to bring my medication. And we were in a situation where we couldn't just go and get his blood pressure medication because we were 40 minutes away from where he lived at. So I had this I don't know, you can call it intuition or divine guidance of bringing out my crystal singing bowls and I played them for, I don't know exactly how long, but I had him lay down on a yoga mat and I played the singing bowls, and there was a harmony that I hit that changed the energy in the whole entire room. And I felt it. I definitely felt it. I mean, I almost stopped doing it. The only reason why I didn't stop playing was because I wasn't sure if he felt it. So I wanted to have confirmation before I stopped playing. So I kept playing, but he stood up or sat up. I'm sorry. He was in a laying position. So he sat up, and as soon as he did that, I looked at him and I said, "Did you feel that?" And he said, "Yes." He said, "I feel better." And then he jumped up, and I stopped playing, and he looked different. His face wasn't red anymore. He wasn't having a headache anymore. And a few months later, he went to see his primary care physician, and they found out that his thyroid functions perfectly well, and his testosterone went back to the normal range. So he never took blood pressure medication anymore, and he also haven't had any thyroid dysfunction since then. The testosterone was also leveled, and he never took any medication for that either. So it was a really amazing experience, and so we also started to implement healthy eating into his life, and soon he started to stop drinking alcohol and quit smoking cigarettes. And so we started to see a very slow transformation. In the first 6 months of our relationship, this was fairly easy actually, because we lived together, and so we were not influenced by anybody else's customs. And then we also lived in an environment in Denver, Colorado, where eating different is normal. So it's not such big of a problem for people around here, because they meet, vegans and vegetarians and pescatarians and everything, and everybody is accepted, and everybody's difference is well embraced. So really, it wasn't a problem, except maybe the financial burden that we carried at that time did not allow us to make the exact choices that we would have done otherwise. But nonetheless, we remained true to the same principles that I carried by that time by heart, because I think when I met David, this probably 5 or 6 years before that, I already didn't eat sugar, and had very little fruit a day if I did. And I dealt with my sugar cravings, and I was just overall healthier in how I ate. Well, long story short, we we actually moved to Indiana first, and then to Mississippi. And so this is where the story gets interesting, because immediately we got into an environment. Hey, Stacy, so nice to see you here. We immediately got into an environment where eating different was not socially accepted. We were not surrounded by people who even understood what we were doing or why we were not eating sugar. It was also, Colorado state is already a state where if you buy drinks that contain sugar, you pay higher taxes. So this concept in Indiana sounded to most people like I came from Mars when I introduced them to the idea of not having sugar. And then, of course, when we moved to Mississippi, things basically just got even worse, because of the cultural differences that include way higher sugar content in foods on a regular basis. And it's also an area that when you look at it on the map, there are far more people dealing with diabetes and just metabolic disease in that area, and that's clearly nothing else but not knowing that the food that they eat influences their health. That's all. So these are the traditions that you cannot change when you're in an environment like that. So you have to do your best, and it's not always the easiest task. And so that's exactly a situation where you have to use your discernment and gauge who it is who's supporting you and who it is who's tolerating you. And as somebody who's done all of these changes in an environment that was always very supportive, I felt really lonely in that situation. And then of course I needed to deal not with just the social aspect of not being able to go to potlucks or being separated socially from people for that reason, but also the just the subtle judgment that you get from people when they don't understand why you're doing what you're doing. I get into situations several times in my life where I was invited over to somebody's house, and if I didn't eat from the dessert that they made, or whatever, I refused to put a sweet and or whatever kind of sauce they put on their pizza. They got offended. So these are really difficult situations. But the reason why I'm talking about this is because if you started out, you want to eat healthier and you want to make changes, it's very, very likely that you're going to get into that situation where you're not surrounded with people who even tolerate or support you. And so you still have to deal with the resistance in your environment if you want to maintain the change. And yes, it can be a lonely place, but if you use your discernment, you can actually select those people who are more, supportive. And then you can choose to spend time with those people who are more supportive, because this is eventually what's going to help you to maintain the changes that you started in your life. And the skepticism toward clean eating or supplements, it's something that we experience up until today. So I don't really have to talk about this too much, I don't feel like, but what you have to know, if you're one of those people who want to make changes and you want to feel better, or there are certain health issues that you're dealing with, and you want to get rid of them, what you have to make sure is that you you don't you don't go back just because of your environment. You don't go back just because there is resistance in your environment. I think the first thing that you have to understand is that you're doing this for yourself as much as you're doing this for others, and you have to find a support system, even if it's not exactly around you. I hope that makes sense. So, you know, reach out to me, reach out to David, talk to us about what it is that you feel like you're not getting support with, and then see if we can help, we walk you through it, because that's what we believe. We're not concerned by whether or not other people are skeptic. We already had our results, and that's what you have to achieve too. You have to get to a point where you see the difference, and the more difference the changes that you created made in your life, the less important it's going to be how much skepticism or resistance you meet in your environment. So after moving to Mississippi, I actually developed gallbladder issues, and David's doctor told me that I needed to remove my gallbladder. And so this is part of that. So, we had more stress, and also we lived in an environment where we lived in a house for almost 2 years where there was black mold for sure. And that's horrible on your liver, because your liver is actually filtering out all the toxins that get into your body. So it doesn't have to be just food that you eat. It can be an oil that you put on your skin. It can be mold, for example, that you breathe in through air. So you have to make sure that you understand the toxins in your environment. And so when I got worse, I made changes that helped me to get out of that. And so 3 years later, I still have my gallbladder. But there is a, you know, healing is, I believe it's physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. I always try to emphasize that because I want everybody to understand that just because you take a supplement, you know, if you're not changing other things up, you may not see the results that you're looking for. So it's a holistic view means that you look at toxic people in your environment, you look at toxic habits that you have, you look at toxic ways of thinking that you've been dealing with for a while, because all of those are going to contribute to how you feel from a day-to-day basis. And so the nervous system responds to belonging and safety and connection. So this is really kind of tricky because we want to be with people, we want to socialize, you know, we want to go to potlucks, we want to make friends and have friends over and cook foods that we can eat too. So that can get difficult. But I think one of the most important things is that you should see a way out. So the same way how you have to have faith that the changes that you are going to make are going to lead to positive things in your lives, the same way you also have to believe that if you maintain your changes and you have those results that you're looking for, then your environment is going to be interested in what it is that you're doing. And that's a fact. It's this thing is a long game kind of process. So do not give it up very soon. Do not give it up at all. But do not let anybody influence you who is not a supporter. Do not listen to anybody telling you that you have no clue about what you're doing, or that you're spending too much on food, or that whatever you're doing is not maintainable, or that whatever you're doing is insane. It usually comes from people who do not understand what you're doing. So this is exactly, hey Abby, thank you so much. This is exactly what you have to keep in mind. It's not your environment that's going to get better if you make those changes. It's your internal environment. You're going to feel better because you're going to live better. You're going to feel better because you're going to have more energy. You're going to feel better because you're going to have more focus. You're going to feel better because you're going to be less depressed, less anxious, or whatever it is that you're dealing with. So keep it in mind that if your nervous system responds to the change in a way where you want to go back, just talk to us. We can talk you out of going back if you already started the good changes. And also, my suggestion would be is that start small changes and learn to maintain the small changes for a longer period of time, instead of trying to have like 15 different things change at the same time and then try to balance everything in your life when everything is upside down. That's not really realistic. And unless you have, like I said, unless you have a supportive environment where everybody's behind you, and you know the person that you lives with you is going to help you to cook the bone broth, you know, that you're going to be drinking, and they're going to cheer you on for everything that you're doing, and they may be even doing it with you so that you don't have to fail. That's a different story. You may be able to implement a whole lot more than a person who's not in a supportive environment. But either way, there is an opportunity for you to feel better and get better and set an example for the people who you love the most, who are probably totally not ready, doesn't even, you know, they don't even want to hear about it at this point. So just slow down and do everything slowly, and encourage people. Like, do not, you know, like the shame game doesn't work. So I never put shame on people or judge the people were eating, all the bad food, and they had all the chronic diseases. It's not, I understand that they're on that level. And so I'm not able to drag them with me. I wish I could, but I'm not. So my goal is not to drag anybody with me. My goal is to get better so that I have more energy, more patient, and I'm more able to encourage people, and I'm more able to show people what it is that they should be doing in order to get better. I want you to know that if you are working on changes, whether subtle changes or big changes, I want you to know that we are here to help you. You are not alone. You are not broken. You don't have to feel like you're crazy. Hey, Shana. Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you very much for joining in. If you guys have any questions about this one, feel free to comment on this video. And then if there is any questions that we cannot answer in a direct message or in a comment, we're definitely gonna mention it in the next episode. Okay, I definitely want to open up at the beginning of every single episode to people who have questions, whether it's about the episode from last week or something else that you're interested. We always want to hear what it is that you want to know more about. So you're not broken, you are healing, and healing can feel really daunting at first, and you're not alone. So we are here. We can definitely help you. We can definitely walk you through whatever you're going through in your healing process, on your healing journey. And we love to do that anyway. So please reach out and let us know where you're struggling, and also comment on this video or share if you'd like to. We'd like to reach other people too, because we know that this is very, very important, and we love to help people. Reach out to David, reach out to me, whoever you feel closer with. And we're going to do whatever we can to support you, because we understand how important support is. Thank you very much for joining in today, and I hope I will see you next week. Bye-bye.